Welcome into All Things LA Real Estate. My name is PK Knoll. We are heading back out to Los Feliz for your November real estate update. For those of you who've been following along month after month, we've seen 3 straight months of home selling under the list price. We got a little bit of good news in that regard, but we're going to break down everything you need to know, current numbers, month over month, year over year. End of the video, we're going to do a few homes that have caught my eye where I try and find you some value in the neighborhood. If you're not familiar with Los Feliz, one of the more expensive neighborhoods in all of Los Angeles, especially on the east side, but very desirable place to live. Great little downtown areas, good schools, great neighborhoods. It's just right east of Hollywood there, so in a prime spot as well. We're going to break everything down. Let's go. Jumping right into what's going on out in Los Feliz. Obviously, in the real estate industry right now, things are not fantastic, right? Affordability is at decades low. We got high rates, low inventory, high home prices. But we're going to continue to do the work. We're going to continue to look at the numbers. We're going to continue to figure out what's going on for those of you who are searching or are thinking about potentially searching. Because right now in Los Feliz, we have 47 homes available for sale. Pretty consistent in regard to what we've seen over the past year. In Los Feliz, 13 of those homes have had price drops, so 28%. Normally, that would be a huge red flag, something going on in the neighborhood, crime increase, something happening. But the reality is we just do not have buyer demand. So most neighborhoods on the east side are seeing 20 and 30% price cuts in the neighborhood. So not anything to be super concerned about. It just comes from a fact that homes are just sitting. And obviously, if you're trying to sell your home, you don't like that. The minimum to get into the neighborhood right now is $990K. If you're somebody who follows around in Los Feliz, that is our first home under $1 million in quite some time. And we are going to go over that house in the final segment of homes that have caught my eye. So we'll get into exactly what's going on in that situation. The top end, we got a new top dog in the neighborhood. This home is listed for $38 million. Incredible, would be the highest sale in the history of Los Feliz. We are certainly going to get into that home in the final segment as well. That brings our average homes available for sale price to 4.885018, which is pretty high. Typically, our number in Los Feliz for homes available for sale sits right around 3.9 to 4 million if somebody's been following along. Obviously, when you have a $38 million home that hits the market, that is a big reason why we see that $800K plus jump in the average for sale price. Our days on market actually came down a little bit. We're at 55. We've seen 64, 62, 65, and we dropped to 55. But that 60-day mark is really just kind of the golden number that we consistently look at, right? We talk about this a lot on all of our videos. It's essentially when a home seller has been sitting for 2 months without getting the offer that they want. That's typically when you start to see the price cuts. Even at 55, that kind of gives you some insight as to why we're at 28% as far as the home prices being dropped. It's also a good metric for you to kind of keep your eye on if you're somebody who's thinking about selling your home, because if homes are sitting for a long time, you need to find out exactly what's happening there. Maybe be more understanding of the situation that's occurring and price your home accordingly. If we took a quick peek in November of 2022, we had 21 homes sell at 102% clip. So on average, 2% over that list price. Now, we're probably not going to get back to 21. We've seen a lot of year-over-year declines consistently on the east side. Although the end of 2022 wasn't fantastic, the end of this year is obviously going to defer on that as well. So we're going to jump over to the last month. That's going to be the most empirical information. If you're somebody who's thinking about buying in the neighborhood, let's do that now. Before we get into the specifics of what happened last month in October out in Los Feliz, let me just put one thing off the jump to you. I am not a realtor who believes in the statement, which is marry the house and date the rate. Basically, this is in essence where people are trying to essentially convince you that although rates are very high right now, you shouldn't worry about that because you're just dating the rate. When things get better, you can obviously refinance and do other things. But there's a lot more complications to that. There's zero guarantee that rates will come down anytime soon. Jerome Powell last time out did pause rate hikes. We saw the biggest drop in rates we've seen all year, but we're still sitting at 7.5%. And there's nobody who can guarantee that rate comes down anytime soon. the mentality through most of the economic world is that we sit around these rates for quite some time until the inflation numbers continue to decline. We are seeing unemployment jump a little bit, so those are the kind of metrics that we're looking at. But make sure that if you're going out and you're going to purchase a home and you're going to finance that home, that you can afford that rate, that cost, that monthly payment for the entirety of your loan. And if things change for the better and you have that opportunity to refinance and it makes sense for you, great. But you cannot be in a situation where you are just barely getting by at the cost you pay for, because the loan officers will give it to you, right? They want to make deals. They want to get things. They're struggling just like everyone else. So if they put you into a rate that's going to put you in a tight situation, one thing goes wrong, home prices drop or anything of that essence, then you're going to be in deep trouble. So just kind of keep that in mind. Don't listen to kind of a lot of the hoopla you hear around that. You got to make sure you can afford what you're buying. But last month we had 15 homes sell. We finally got over the 100% clip. We're at 104%. So meaning 4% on average above the list price. Most people are going to list their home based off the market analysis, right? So they're going to give a fair judgment of where their homes fell, typically based off what other homes in the neighborhood, in their neighborhood, were selling for. And when it goes 4%, that is one of the metrics you can look at if you're a home buyer to know if I see an attractive house and it's in a certain range, I can anticipate that I got to make an offer 4% over that list price. So for instance, let's say there's a $2 million house here in Los Feliz and it's new on the market, it's attractive, it's rebuilt, it's in a good neighborhood, and you want to go in and get this house. You might have to have the anticipation that you're going to have to go 4% over that list price, because that's what the averages are telling us, right? So $80,000, above the $2 million mark. But for the first time in 4 months, we are finally above, because Los Feliz over the past 3 months prior to this, as I mentioned off the jump, and if you're somebody who's following along, we've seen that number be below the list price. That's also a metric if you're a home owner in Los Feliz to have an understanding if you're getting some appreciation. It's just one of the metrics, but it's something you can keep your eye on if you're trying to dive into the numbers. Minimum sale last month out in Los Feliz was 1.055 million. That home sold 66K over the list price, so 7% above the list price on that one. So pretty good. You get that on the low end in Los Feliz. It's a very desirable neighborhood. It's something we're seeing consistently throughout Los Angeles, throughout the east side of Los Angeles, is the high ticket homes are really struggling to go off the market. And that's because you just can't finance for most people at those marks, right? So when you get an attractive home that is on the lower end, that's where they're getting those 7, maybe 8% over. So keep that in mind as well. The maximum we had last month was 4.85 million. It sold 145K under the list price, so 3% below what it was listed for. Once again, same notion there is when you get up in or flirting with $5 million homes, you're just not going to have a ton of buyers coming in. So if there's somebody who comes in who wants the house, they know from a buyer perspective that they have a little bit of leverage and that they can possibly get that home at or below the list price. That's something we see consistently in all the neighborhoods, especially the high ticket price, La Cañada, Pasadena, Altadena, Silver Lake. So average home sale price for last month was 2.410, 574. That's pretty low. We've been seeing, most of the times we were at 3.2 3 months ago, 3.5 2 months ago. Last month we came down to 2.6. Now we're down to 2.4. Once again, that just goes back to the notion that the higher price ticket homes are not going to have the same attraction. So when people want to get into the neighborhood, their affordability is dwindling. So it makes more transactions on the lower side. That's why we see the average home list at 4.8, and we're half of that as far as the average home sale at 2.4. So that's something we see consistently. Average days on market for the homes that sold was 32, typically between 15 and 40 on that number. So nothing to worry about there. Now, if we look at October of 2022, we had 15 homes sell, 98% clip. So last October, a little bit under the list price on average, but that's an even split year over year. So nothing to worry about there. We had 15. So hopefully the numbers in November can reflect that out in Los Feliz. So things are very difficult in the real estate industry right now. It is tough to afford a home. I get that. But let's jump out and look at some homes that have caught my eye and see if we can find some value in the neighborhood. Homes that have caught my eye. So here's what we're going to do in this section as we close things off. Just a little revamp for those of you who may be new here. First of all, we're going to talk about the entry level. What's the minimum price to get in the neighborhood? That's always good. Maybe you're adamant you want to get your kid into Los Feliz school districts. You want to live in that part of the area because it's a good commute. Maybe you work at Netflix, whatever the situation is. So we're going to give you the entry level. Then we're going to break down PK's top pick. That is going to be a value play. I'm letting the numbers tell me exactly where the value comes from, right? Because you have to find a home if you're going to finance and purchase a home right now that has strong potential to appreciate, right? Because that's where you avoid all the complications that can come with a desperation to get into refinancing down the line, because at some point you're going to probably want to move off that 7.5% interest rate. So we're going to look for a value play there. I think I got a great one this month for you. And then we're going to finish off with the top dog. What's the ceiling look like in the neighborhood? Stick around for that house, record house out in Los Feliz, as I mentioned. So let's start things off in entry level. A little bit of housekeeping. Our entry level home last month, it was the 3819 Sunset Drive. It was listed for $1.195 million. So that was our low last month in Los Feliz. That home is still active. It's the one on Sunset Drive on that southeast corner of Los Feliz, down the street from Vista, the Vista movie theater that Tarantino just remodeled. So it's in that little neighborhood down there to the southeast. So still active on that one. If I'm not going to be repetitive and get back into the information on that home, if you are interested in that home, go back to the October real estate update for Los Feliz, get to the section that has entry level above it, and you can get more information on that home. But we got a new low dog in the neighborhood right now. Like I mentioned, first one under $1 million in many months in Los Feliz, 4366 Camaro Avenue, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1308 square feet. It's listed for the $990K. They probably had the anticipation, put it under $1 million, get more views on it, hopefully get some offers and get that over $1 million. So keep that in mind. But this is $756 per square foot. We love that number. When you get in, $1 million less, I want the number between 4 and 800. 756 I'm on board with. 6751 is the lot size. That is a very solid lot size for anything on the east side. You see the typical kind of single family residence, especially in the tighter communities like Silver Lake or Elk Grove, where you're in like the 3500s for this price range. So 6751 gives you some move around, do some things in the backyard. This is the first time this whole home has been sold in 58 years. So there's a long homeowner, probably bought it for $70K back, 58 years ago, which would have been like, 65, 1965. So problem is, as you can see, full remodel here. It looks like there might have been a fire or something. I can't confirm that completely. But this is a full remodel, maybe not a full build. Typically, they would have to express that. So that makes it a little bit easier, but not a turnkey opportunity here. It sits just east of Hillhurst Avenue, one of the most attractive avenues out there in Los Feliz. If you know anything about Hillhurst, great little area to kind of walk, restaurants, movie theaters, the whole nine right there. So great area, but it's going to be a project home. Maybe you're ready to move. You got some months and you can kind of buy the house, do the remodels, and plan to move in maybe over the summer, something like that. If we look at some sales, in this neighborhood to give you some perspective of what the value would look like if you came in and did the proper remodels. We had a 3.2 1380, so about the same size, one extra bedroom. That home sold for 1.055. It was kind of like cheaply updated, so you can expect, although you're a little bit less in the bedrooms, if you do a great job and make it modernly updated, that you might be able to eclipse that number a little bit, which starts to give you a little bit of wiggle room. We look at a 3.1 1040, which is sold in the neighborhood for $2.73 million. And that's going to be a good gauge for you. Obviously, the house is a little bit smaller even. It was fully updated, much nicer home, but that kind of gives you a glimpse of what the top end looks like. So if I'm coming in, let's say I got to get this house, we give them a little bit of wiggle room and we get in for $1 million. I know I probably have a safety net of around $200K to do the upgrades, which is tight, admittedly, but it does give you some value there. So let's jump over to PK's top pick. A little bit of house cleaning on the PK's top pick. I have not been giving you gems when I do these top picks. When I get to the next month's update in most of these East Side neighborhoods, usually these homes are gone. Now, I'm not going to be too hard on myself because we just don't have the transactions. But when I find value, if there's any other good realtors out there that are doing kind of the same perspectives as I am, I expect these homes to sell. But we got a couple long-waited active ones to go back. So if you want to go back to September's home for PK's topic, it was 3763 Prestwick Drive. That was the one in Los Feliz Hills, one of the most pristine neighborhoods, just north of Los Feliz. In Los Feliz, it is still active. It was the 2.499 million one. Very weird because it was originally listed for 2.69. Then they dropped it last month when we did the update to 2.499, and then they jumped it back up to 2.590. So nearly 100K raise month over month with no activity. So I'm not really sure what the marketing perspective on why they're even doing this, but this house is kind of a little bit all over the place. But go back to September if you want to take a look and get more information on the home. Last month was the 2219 Richland. It was the 2.695. That is active as well. We love that house. That's the one with the nice pool in the backyard. We loved it because the neighborhood, we went through all the numbers of all the homes that have sold in the neighborhood, and they're all 2 million plus. And that gives you security of the neighborhood. Sometimes you see these outliers of these beautiful homes in neighborhoods throughout the east side that are high priced, but the homes around them aren't as updated. So it's kind of that like one outlier. When you're purchasing a home, it's typically in your best, interest to buy a home that has a lot of great home values because it gives you security as far as, your home value long term. That's what we loved about that. But go back and check out October. I do like that home, but it's still sitting there for 2.695. But I'm confident about this month that we got you some value. I came in deeply under the averages, and I'm going to actually do something that I typically don't do, is I'm going to repeat a home from last month because we're going back to last month's entry level. I just talked about it. It's the 3819 Sunset Drive, the one straight down the street from Vista. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,200 square feet. It's listed for $1.195 million, $995 per square foot. A little bit high. I'm fine with it. 3544, so regular lot size, nothing crazy there. This is a modern home. It sits just west of Hyperion on that southeast side, as I mentioned. You also had the option that they just put this onto the listing that you can buy the lot right next to it to expand yourself from 35 to 7,000 as far as the lot square feet, and it's only going to be 1.4 million is what they're asking. So you can get this home for basically 1.2 for only 200K. Get that extra lot. And we've seen some new laws here in California. I'm going to be putting out a video regarding that directly, but you can sell that lot separately. Certainly going to get way more than 200K, probably 3 times that if you decide to sell it. So there's some real value here if you get that additional lot. I highly suggest if you're coming in to purchase this that you do pick up that extra lot. Land is essentially what you're buying, right? You're buying land, you're buying property, and then you're buying, a lease from the terms of things. So it is a great value if you add in that extra lot, which they just made that additional push to it. And if you look at kind of comps, there is a 3.2 1250 right in this neighborhood that's listed for 1.4. So you're getting good value, right? Because we're at a 3.2 1200. This is a 3.2 1250. It's listed for 1.4. We're at 1.2. I can get up to 1.4 and get that additional lot where I can build up another residency, rent it out, possibly sell it. If you do an incredible job, there's a chance you can get real close to break even and pay down a lot of your financing if that's going to be the option. So definitely get a look at this house. I think there's going to be a ton of interest. They didn't do an incredible job of marketing the fact that they are giving that additional lot. So there might be some people who missed the boat that, mostly because, if you were looking last month at this home, you might have already visited it. You might have already went to the open house. You might have already decided and checked it off your list, because a lot of people who are looking in this price range get like alerts when new homes in their price range come available, and this home's not going to spark that alert because it was already there. So there might be some serious value. You got to really read between the lines and be somebody who's tracking, these homes consistently. Reach out to me if you need some help on that. But let's finish things off with the top dog. A little bit of house cleaning on the top dog side. 2480 Iverness. That was that $18.4 million home from September. That home is still active. We thought the market value was a little bit closer to 16 million, so almost 2.5 million below where they got it. Super high end. That's a certain clientele, but it was a beautiful home. Go back to September if you want to check that one out. October's was 4808. Bonview Avenue is the 9.95 million. That one's still active. We got in depth with the numbers there. That was the home back in 2007 that was purchased for like 3.7. then it went up to 6.3, and then they tried to originally list it for 11 million plus, 307% over 6 years. So we had some skepticism as far as this value of this home jumping 300% in 6 years. There was an update in there between 2007 and 2009. But go back. There's a nice little learning activity there. You can kind of see how some of these market financing sale prices have been jumping. So go back to October. But we gotta finish things off with the new top dog in the neighborhood, the most expensive listing in Los Feliz history. In fact, there was 5 homes on that kind of west side of Los Feliz, brand new neighborhood, brand new build. All 5 homes sold for $33 million a piece. That was just back recently in the past couple years, new builds. Other than those 5 brand new builds, the highest sale in Los Feliz history is $24.5 million. So we are $14 million above that. And this home sits in the Los Feliz Hills, north of Los Feliz Boulevard, one of the most pristine. Like I mentioned, that's the one that kind of leads you up to the Griffith Observatory, the Greek Theater. The highest sale in that neighborhood is $18 million. So we're more than double that with this home. But it's 4511 Cochram Drive. It's a 9-bedroom, 11-bath, 20,000 square feet, listed for the $38 million, 1,900 per square foot. When you get up over $1 million, when you get up over $30 million, those numbers are going to jump drastically. So nothing to worry about there. The lot is over 80. It's 87,626. Incredible views, as you can imagine, at this home. It's a Mediterranean mansion, modern home. It's got a jacuzzi, full theater. This house is incredible. It's one of those homes where you're like, how can one person even afford this? But this is a certain type of clientele, a certain type of cash buyer, pretty much only. You're not going to finance a house at this mark, but we're going to keep our eye on it, see if they flirt with it. My anticipation is it'll have to sit for a while unless they just kind of got lucky with timing it and a buyer was just kind of hunting at that exact time. So with these high-end sales, you can't, especially in today's market, you can't anticipate that it's like a normal sales cycle as far as an anticipated seller perspective. But I expect it to be sitting around for a while. I'll keep you updated in next month's review of Los Feliz. Thank you so much for watching the video. We do this every single month for almost every neighborhood on the east side. We're doing Pasadena, Silver Lake, Eagle Rock, Highland Park, Glendale, La Cañada, El Sereno, Cypress Park. The list goes on and on. So like and subscribe to the channel if you are so inclined. If you're somebody who's looking to purchase a home on the east side of Los Angeles or sell your home, I am happy to help out with you. Reach out to me. You can send me a direct message online, or all of my phone numbers are listed. Even if you're somebody who's hesitant with 7% interest rates, that puts us in the same boat. It always helps to start preparing for future opportunities because you don't want to miss the boat there. We will tread lightly. We will look for value. We will get it done. I also do a ton of other videos. I get into the schools. I get into, the restaurants in the neighborhood. I get into the attractions in the neighborhood. I do some other fun videos like quick cribs. So once again, like and subscribe if you are so inclined. Have a great day. Be kind.
Yeah.